the lab capacity once that takes effect. It's put out there enough time. I'm sorry if the State Street light wasn't so long, I'd been here 5 minutes. Jerry, how you doing? Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wow, that's great.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then you do the rest. On a brush fire.
Oh.
So I'll be in here for a while.
All right. One. And we're ready. Are you, who's the president?
He's president.
Oh, so you get to call the meeting to order then.
Yep. So we have two good for a quorum. Yeah, so we're good.
Yep, yes.
I'd like to call this Waterworks Board meeting to order, November 8th, 2023. Jerry Burmeister is present.
Secretary, here. That's the last meeting. Bring it up.
Read them earlier. See a problem with. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
The minutes have been approved from our last meeting.
You have the agenda up there. Yeah, I've got
Well,
order of business.
yeah.
Not there yet. You have our copy?
I do not, Scott.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, I got the agenda up here.
So we had a motion to approve the old business.
Yep. I think you gotta take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Old business, doesn't look like we have any, so it's on new business.
Nope.
We're caught up with you.
Okay, so on new business, just a quick update on the water line extension along State Road 9. Remember that comes out of the church there and then runs south to the intersection with 900 south. We're underneath State Road 9. Then the water line continues on to Ag 101. The town's paying for the stretch along 9, and Ag 101 is paying for the stretch of the line along 900 south. Bill Brown was the winning contractor on that. They've started work. In fact, I heard a rumor there might be boring today or tomorrow. Yeah, Donnie just texted. He's working the fire. So he probably won't make the meeting. But anyway, that's where we're at. The county drainage board is asking whether we're crossing a legal drain. I think we're crossing a tile that's been basically abandoned forever. It's had houses built on top of it. So the engineering firm, HWC, will get with them and the county drainage board interact with them. Let them know it shouldn't really be an issue. That's all I have. Any questions?
They have a time completion.
Well, we have to be done by the end of the year.
Okay.
It's part of our agreement for annexation. So hopefully. Next time, I'll just turn it over to Denise, who will turn it over to Commonwealth Engineering.
Good evening. I'm Denise McKee. I'm here on behalf of the planning department. The planning department and Ryan Brashears, he's our supervisor of the water department. We've been working with Commonwealth here. We got Brady Dreyer. He's our expert consultant on this program, this project that we've kicked off here in probably mid-year, about July of this year. We also have his coworker here with us as well. So I'll kind of give you a little bit of history, just give a brief overview of this program, and then I'll allow Brady to come up here, add anything that he would like to add. And then if you have any questions for me as staff, as well as Brady, we open that to you. So in 1986, there was a Safe Drinking Water Act lead ban that was issued. This was issued to require lead-free pipe, solder, and flux in the installation and any repair of the water and plumbing systems in both residential and non-residential properties that provided water for human consumption. So then in 1991, in response to this ban, there was a lead and copper rule that was issued, and it was issued to establish treatment techniques to reduce lead and copper in the drinking water systems when levels arise to an action level. But then here recently in 2021, the US EPA, they revised the lead and copper rule. They felt that it was needed to better protect our children and our communities, to safeguard them from the risk of lead exposure by instilling more accountability on the municipalities, as well as the water service providers such as the town of Pendleton, and mandating action steps to be taken in order to eliminate those lead lines. So here we are, and fortunately to assist the municipalities, and the town of Pendleton definitely wanted to take part of this and to be ready for, because there are some funds that became available through the Indiana Finance Authority. So with that, the last couple of years, EPA has been working with the Indiana Finance Authority to address these lead lines, and with the help of the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. So those together is helping to fund and making it possible for communities such as the town of Pendleton to be able to replace these lines. So this program, the Service Line Inventory Program, it's in 3 phases. So we are in phase 1 of these 3 phases. So the first phase is split up into 2 parts. So we are nearing the end of part 1. Part 1 is the inventory, the initial inventory that is being submitted based on documentation and paperwork alone. So we turned over to Commonwealth. Keegan has kind of been our point of contact with Commonwealth. And we've turned over all of our archived construction plans, our building permit reports. These are from 1900s all the way up to 2023. We've also turned over our utility reports for address for all of our utility water lines and accounts, and then also sensitive areas within our community. So that included schools, daycares, and town facilities. So all that information is going to be getting ready to get turned over to IFA for our initial inventory. And then following that is part 2 of phase 1. So we're getting ready to kickstart that here at the end of the year to about the first quarter of 2024. So by at the end of December, we're going to be sending out, and there is this here, the survey. This is just draft, initial draft. We do have some updates we're going to be making as far as phone line and also to making this form address both residential and non-residential properties. So we're working on tweaking that, but this gives an idea as to what's going to go out to our water utility customers. And this is going to be inserted into our utility bill that will hit the residents and property owners the end of December, 1st of January. So with that, there will be a link that they can provide and help us fill in the gaps. So those residents and those properties that are business related, we will help us kind of be a process elimination to be able to identify if there is lead material in those service lines or not. And that is a very important step. So then we will continue to update our inventory map and our spreadsheet to identify those properties that will need to be addressed later on. So with that, they will be able to submit either turning this form back into their utility bill. They can connect into a QR code, which will go directly to Commonwealth, and they're going to tally in all those responses and feedback. And then you'll also see there on that survey, I don't know, and also a place that needing assistance. So we're going to have a phone line set up in place here that will set them up on an inspection. This inspection at that point will be a hands-off inspection. It's not going to be shaking those water lines, touching those water lines, but trying to determine if we can identify those just by sight only. That'll be in crawl space, that'll be in basements and so forth. That will continue to update that inventory that we will submit the end of December. And then by March, we will then submit a preliminary engineering report. So that brings us to phase 2. So taking that inventory, then Commonwealth is going to create a preliminary engineering report, which is our plan for how we're going to approach and attack then our exploration and also our reconstruction, replacement of those service lines. Service lines, just kind of give you an idea, it's basically from meter up to where it meets the premise of the property. So it could be up to the exterior wall of the structure, or it could even be, if we have any properties that have a meter inside, it'll go up to that meter inside. But most of our properties, the meter is on the outside. So Brady will be taking that. He will be working with us. We also have some additional funds through IFA to help cover the cost of that. Phase 1, we got a $15,000 grant from IFA to cover the cost for that inventory assessment. And then phase 2, we have the possibility, the opportunity to have $10,000 to go towards our PER. And we will plan to submit that in March 2024 and give IFA about 2 months to be able to review that and kick that back to us for any feedback. And then from May of 2024 through the end of 2024, then we'll be into the design and building that bid packet and specs and so forth that will go out to be noticed for a bid early 2025. And then that brings us to phase 3 of our program. And phase 3, we will then have the opportunity to obtain up to $100,000 in state revolving funds for that. So that's why, and I do want to clarify, we actually do not have to have the hardcore deadline for the inventory portion for all water service providers is not until October the 16th of 2024. But we want to be ahead of the game. We want to be ready. So then that way, when those funds come available, we want to be able to partake in that. So we would then be looking at the construction phase and any remedy phase, April 2025 to about August of 2025, I think somewhere right in there. So we'll go to issue our bid early 2025. And then we will then have bid opening probably around March of 2025. So we've been very fortunate to work with Brady and his crew. He's been wonderful. And if you'd like to add anything.
That was excellent.
Great.
Again, my name is Brady Dreyer. I'm the compliance manager with Commonwealth. Denise was really spot on with her assessment of the situation, the program through the Indiana Finance Authority. And we've really been fortunate enough that with this federal rule of the revised lead and copper rule, along with the Indiana Finance Authority and the State Revolving Loan Fund, to be able to have grant dollars for communities like Pendleton to do, that inventory. That's what we're working on right now. Geez, I don't know what else to cover because she covered so much, but I will give you guys a couple cards. And then I've got some of these, and these basically brochures kind of outline the lead copper rule itself. And there are some, other facets of compliance that have to do with notification if results are high, notification of certain, like sensitive customers, and so forth. So yeah, in terms of that, the sort of the project, if you will, itself, our plan would be to start the planning very soon, and that's where we can obtain as far as the type 2 is concerned for the planning part of it. And essentially what that kind of dovetails into is that PER, as Denise described, and then the other part of that is going to be coordination with the town's rate consultant and so forth to put together what's called the drinking water state revolving loan fund application. And that, kind of looks at where we sit right now with respect to rates, customer counts and things like that to determine what our eligibility is. Just as a whole, we kind of talked about the inventory and planning part of it, but there's a lot of dollars being funneled through the EPA and through the Indiana Finance Authority that will be used for replacement, right? The actual physical replacement of some of these lead lines. So that's really kind of what we're after and why we're trying to gear up annually for the SRF fiscal year. These PDRs need to be, submitted by March 30th. And that's kind of what our, one of our next target is beyond that sort of near term December 15th deadline to get that initial inventory done. The fact of the matter is this rule isn't going anywhere. It's a huge initiative by our current federal administration. And it's one of those things, whether folks like it or not, it's something that we're going to have to act on as, public water systems responsible for the public health of our communities.
So to sum it up, so first we're going to try and do a quick survey to see what potential maybe significant. We sort of suspect it's not going to be too bad. One problem that I disagree with this being imposed on, it's an unfunded mandate. Yes, there's IFA funds, but you borrow. The other problem I have with it is from the meter to the house, which means on private property. We're paying for that.
These funds are paying for it.
Yeah, we have to borrow.
Yeah.
So
The homeowner doesn't get anything.
no, they get it for free.
Yeah.
They get it replaced for free.
That was going to be my question. Was there any charge to the homeowner?
No, but they have, one of the consequences is they have their head buried in the sand, they might find out they have plumbing.
Yeah.
So beyond the service line, the shut off valve in the house, past that, they might find it. So it's not a very well thought out program. It can be very expensive. Here's the other problem that probably nobody thought about. As soon as you do something to a service line, what do you think happens to the main? You gotta replace the main.
Yeah.
So not only we're gonna have to replace the service lines, we're gonna have to replace the mains. What happens when you replace the mains? You gotta tear up the main.
The whole streets down.
Yeah, so this could have far beyond very negative consequences. The potential for it is huge. So not very enthusiastic about it.
I get it.
And he said he doesn't care. He says it's gonna have to be done.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad Brady's here to help guide us through this, because I also think that what's going to happen as soon as the communities realize the problem they're in, it's going to go up the chain. Explain to their next thing you know, they're going to delay something.
So everybody is required to do this.
No, that's the thing, is they don't have to do any, they don't have to participate. The homeowners do not have to participate. Respond to the survey. They don't have to let us on their property. None of that.
He's saying that every water service provider.
Every water service provider, yeah, if that's your question, yes. Homeowners do not have.
That's kind of the first part, like we were talking, is the inventory. This is by like EPA rule. I'm not talking about the project or the financing part that we were just describing. Then the next part is a community by the Drinking Water Act has to come up with a plan to replace. You know, once you find them, what are you going to do about them? And that's what IDEM will be essentially, and EPA will be checking on.
If we do find lead, probably have to supply people with Reddit filters.
Actually,
Reddit's smart. They set up the packages so that you have to buy at least 1,000.
well, you don't have to
To
buy,
get any sort
you
of
get a better
discount.
rate, yes. Which
So now that's, they're $30 a piece. So now we're at the 30,000. It's ridiculous. We'll keep going forward.
The copper, you've got copper on here too. If you got copper, that's okay.
Yeah.
Or plastic is okay. It's just the lead pipes that,
there are some galvanized piping. I did read on that the way that if there is something identified maybe upstream, and if it's galvanized down, the way that it sits and interacts, or I don't know all the details on that, but some could potentially have to be replaced. if it's found to be galvanized.
When they talk about using the solder, lead solder,
Solder, yeah.
well, that's a big thing. Might be the pipe, but they use lead solder for the pipe.
And that's the way they used to do it.
I know,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
You know, kind of just going back in time and news events, you know, what really stirred this up, we all heard about was Flint, Michigan.
Right.
That's what really, I think, got us to where we are today, at least in the near term. And some might argue that that was not necessarily the pipes weren't the issue. It was the quality or corrosivity of the water when they switched their sources that caused all this lead and hot samples in their system. So, you know, to that end, there are other ways to mitigate lead in the system. That's corrosion control with the phosphate and things like that, additives that you can put in the water system to coat the pipe. So it's kind of another way to curb it. However, if you go that route, that doesn't, you know, mitigate or get around any of the requirements to do this inventory. That inventory is what it is. And the plan.
what are we voting on here? This
You're
is
just-
information or?
Yeah, this is information because, you know, if we went further in the process, I hate to be done. So just trying to get ahead of it, make sure you're informed.
I looked and I got plastic after the turn-on spout to my house, in the
Yeah.
house, but then I didn't look at the rest of the house. I've got copper, plastic, and I don't know what
Really,
else.
what we're asking people to do is look at their shut-off valve. Because they can't look underground for that short stint between the one shut-off valve, usually in the basement.
There's some places, don't have so.
And there's some places that don't
Yeah,
have.
a lot of places don't.
Oh, I got shut off.
They, yeah, but a lot of places don't. You know, we get called out middle of the night, shut water off because there's no shut off valve in the house.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be interesting, I think, Scott, to send a survey out and see how many are actually
Right.
returned.
Yeah, so as Brady said in other meetings, if we have a hit in the neighborhood, we'll go look at it, and if that neighborhood, all it takes is one to tell us that that neighborhood might.
I guess long-term thinking down the road, you would hope that the government, someone would kick in some funds to help pay for some of the expenses.
And there are grant dollars available. Nobody's gonna guarantee that until that funding application's submitted. But I will say there are a lot of grant dollars out there available. And I expect more, however, you know, in the next fiscal years under this administration. So unlike other programs, requirements, like sewer overflow, for example, there's no dollars for that, but there has been grant dollars set aside for this. Whether we're eligible, It all depends on how we score on that application when the finance authority reviews it. And just, I was going to introduce Darren Wells. So he's our engineering office manager. So when we talk about getting into, the planning, the design, the cost estimates and all those things and heading up kind of that part of it, the SRF application, coordinating with your rate consultant, your bond counsel, all the folks that go into those projects, Darren will be your guy. So we're right next to each other, so we can't get too far in our office. So, but thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's all we have. Just want to get you up to speed.
Yes, that could be a lot of money, a couple, 3 years, couldn't it?
Okay. But I like your thinking to try to stay ahead of the game, if you will.
Yeah. There is, we do need to replace the old water mains in town.
Yeah.
And this may force the issue.
So we tore up the streets, this will be the 3rd time. In a
Don't get me-
matter of,
Don't get me started on that one. They-
okay, I won't, but,
But when they replaced the sewer lines,
yeah,
Fall Creek Regional Waste District came to the town and said, would you like to replace your water lines? The previous minutes, while they do it at 10% of the cost.
Yeah.
Roughly, the previous administration said no.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
What a great
I
opportunity.
mean, when I heard that, I was through.
I guess, Jeff, from the legal standpoint, we as a town would do nothing at all. But, I mean, I guess I'm trying to weigh our options.
Yeah, I think we would be cited by the both EPA and IDEM, and the fines would be catastrophic.
Okay.
plus, we
Plus,
recognize,
that may even trigger criminal liability.
because you're not changing.
Yeah, that's the real reason we had this meeting is so the criminal liability now shifts to you two. Instead of me.
Now you've been advised, so I'm off the hook. Go get them, boys.
I better sell my house and leave town.
It's gonna be a long 4 years.
Okay. Okay.
I think we need to educate Donnie on this also.
Yeah, you might be aware of it a little bit. I'm sure he keeps his water treatment plant operator up, so they're probably getting training when they go through that. They're getting informed of this, so he's probably aware of it. I don't know to what extent, but.
Anything else? From anybody?
Yes,
Make a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
So moved.
We're done.
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
The regulatory guy always says something I had to do, so
Yeah. Let's see, 2025, you said?
Construction?
Yeah,
Yes.
2025.
Yes, yeah, I think spring, summer, 2025.
Well, I got 2 years, or a year and a half. I think that's sell it in a year and a half, let somebody else worry about that.
She sent me that question.
Get your house ready.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
I'm sorry, I was standing there ready to turn around and walk out the door and I didn't realize it. It was 4:30.
Okay.
I knew it was 4:30. I just. didn't-
We're gonna roll it. At 5:30, we do the, that clock's from, at 5:30, we do the stormwater.
Yeah, I'm not in that.
Yeah. You're not on that one either.